Hello everyone, welcome to another session on 5th semester paper titled Literary Theory. We were discussing about liberal humanism and this is my second session on liberal humanism. Okay, so in this session we are going to understand the concept called or the idea called liberal humanism. Yes, before I get into the concept called a liberal humanism, I would like to make a kind of a distinction. It is not that easy, but still a kind of distinction between literary theory and literary criticism. Okay, literary criticism is the study, evaluation and interpretation of a text. Okay, on the other hand, you can say that literary theory is like it is in fact the different frameworks used to evaluate and interpret a particular work. So you can say that literary criticism is in a way a practical application of literary theory. I hope I am clear. And now, yes, we will move into the concept called liberal humanism. You can say that liberal humanism is a method, or you can say an approach where the focus is on literature. Okay, so it started with Aristotle, you can say. When we talk about the pioneers of liberal humanism, the first name that actually comes to our mind is F.D. Maurice. In his lecture, 1840 lecture, he talks about the importance of language in literature. He talked about the importance of language through literature. And there you can say that beginning of looking into the text, okay, rather than looking for the historical context, or you can say the psychological aspects or other related things that we used to look into the text, that slowly kind of diminished in this approach of F.D. Maurice. Then another important pioneer, another important person in this particular approach called liberal humanism is none other than I.A. Richards. In his concept called practical criticism, he gave more importance to a close and precise reading of a text without the importance of history. Okay, there is no importance that should be given to history. Rather, the focus should be on what? Focus should be on the text. Okay, so that is like another important development, you can say, that has happened in this regard. Then the third person is none other than disciple of I.A. Richards, and that is F.R. Lewis. Along with F.R. Lewis, we have Roche. Q.D. Roche, and both of them, they worked on independence, so-called historical, psychological and philosophical aspects that are searched within literature. As it is said in Peter Barry, you can say that liberal humanism is nothing but theory before theory, and from 1960 onwards you can see that theory has got some inevitable turn, and after that the rest is history. So that period prior to 1960, you can see that we talk more about the concept called liberal humanism. Now, when we try to theorize the concept called liberal humanism, we have 5 major critics, you can say. The first person is none other than Aristotle. Then we have Dr. Johnson. After Johnson, we have Arnold. And after Arnold, we can say that we can also give a reference to Eliot, T.S. Eliot. And last person in that particular regard is F.R. Lewis. So these are like these 5 people are like we can mention as very important critiques in the field of liberal humanism. Now we'll quickly go through their contribution to liberal humanism. When we look into all the ideas that are in fact being put forward by Aristotle, you can say that he was more like a critique towards life, or you can say that he has coined this particular phrase called a mirror held up to nature. That is how a work of art should be. So you can say that he was trying to analyze like the life of man, the life of human beings. All these things are placed against what any literary work. So there began, you can say, that the first studies, okay, where the focus was on human beings. Okay, so you can rightly call him as the first liberal humanist. Okay, now moving on to the next important writer. Another important writer is Dr. Johnson. You can say that in his preface to Shakespeare, he talks about, more about that though it is like, it has got moral undertones and all, you can say that it is about human beings, the lives, and that analysis is more liberal humanist than, you can say historical or kind of philosophical. Okay, then the next person is Matthew Arnold. Through his most important concept like touchstone method, you can say that he is talking about a kind of a comparison to with other popular works, but you can say that he is asking us to go for an in-depth analysis of the text and to see what exactly the text is telling us, or you can say that particular work is telling us. You can relate it with many other great writers of the past, but he is asking us to focus more into the text than for other historical and other factors that are there around any work for that matter. Okay, the next person is T.S. Eliot. His concepts like dissociation of sensibility, impersonality, notion of poetic impersonality, and objective correlative have contributed to you can say that the canon of received critical ideas, and you can say that it has distinctly contributed to liberal humanism. F.R. Lewis, you can say he assumed that the study and appreciation of literature is a precondition to the health of the society. It is very important, and he rejected any attempt to politicize either literature or criticism directly. Okay, so he looked into something that is called as literary appreciation, like that of Arnold. Okay, and rather than going for a fixed criteria, and instead he is asking for something that is called as openness to the qualities of the text. Though I.A. Richards is there, he is generally considered as the pioneer of decontextualized approach to literature, which in fact became a norm in Britain from 1930s to 1970s, and later it was called as something like practical criticism. As a final note, I can say that they developed two separate tracks for something called as English literary criticism. The first track is text-led track, and in that you have critiques like Johnson, Arnold, T.S. Eliot, and F.R. Lewis. They believed in something called as close reading, and the another part is like ideas-led track, okay, of literary criticism. In that we have Sidney, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Eliot, and Henry James. Okay, and they believed in tackling of general issues that are there in literature. Okay, or you can say tackling of general issues with literature. In the next session, we'll discuss about the 10 tenets of liberal humanism, and with that, we'll conclude our discussions on liberal humanism.